Hey, I'm Mel.
And I'm Andres, and you're listening to
Mixedtape, your favorite Afro-Latin podcast.
What She Said.
It's always important to talk about the origin. In our class, we always start with this little introduction, talking about where the Zouk is coming from. You know, it's small, but it's really important to bring it. A lot of people, they didn't even know that it was from French Caribbean. They're like, oh, where is that, you know?
Today's single presents an interview with London-based Zouk dancers Joyce-lee and Stanley Huret. Joyce-lee and Stanley are siblings and are both dancers, choreographers, and instructors of Caribbean Zouk. Our interview with Joyce-lee and Stanley is part of the investigative work for track 10 of our second season, Zouk Party. Check it out.
Toujours qu'à décider, qu'à fait ça ouvler. Toujours les faire l'amour, toutes les mois pas les faire l'amour. Je dis tout ça changé.
Today's single title is inspired by the song Zouk Machine by Zouk Machine. Let's start by learning about our guests. We asked Joyce-lee and Stanley to share with us a brief description of their career, education, and dance journeys.
My name is Joyce-lee, and I've been dancing, people like to say that my whole life, but basically my mom, she used to be a professional dancer in the Caribbean, so with Martinique traditional dancer. She actually traveled and do a few tours around with the team at the time. She's always teach, and then that's how we start dancing. So we started with the traditional Caribbean dances, and then even in those type of dance, there are different type of rhythm. So we actually, play on like drums and all this speaking, belé, coca. So we evolved with this type of dance. I after started like a hip hop dancing while I was like 13, 12, 13, something like that for a few years. And then when I was back teen, I started dancing with different dance group, all about Afro-Caribbean dance and Brazilian dance also. And then since then, that's what I'm doing. I've been dancing a bit of Afro dance when I moved in the UK also. So I moved in the UK in 2014. And then like the background education is I studied tourism and I graduated in tourism industry. And then I'm working as a customer care in the renting accommodation company while I'm doing dancing and hairdressing. So that's basically the background. Now it's more about dancing. So I try to develop this part a bit more. While before it was just on the side, now I wanted to switch it and do more dancing than anything else, basically. And in terms of the Zouk, so as people from French Caribbean, so both our parents, they're from Martinique, so Zouk has always been, in our life. We grew up with it. It's not something that we've been taught, but it's cultural. So we started Zouk classes basically coming from the Zouk Love London parties that has been launched in August 2021. Is that?
Yes, because it's going to be 2 years.
Yeah. And so in London, and obviously that was something new in the industry, and then people from outside start to come, and people didn't know about the Zouk, the dancing as such, even the music, but that's how like people started to ask for classes. How do we dance this? And then we like to learn, and that's how we actually start teaching, which was not planned at all. We never thought about teaching Zouk, because it's actually not something that's being taught a lot around, maybe regretfully, but we never thought about expanding it, I think, much, and that's why even in terms of, you know, like work or academic, it's hard to find it. So even for us, it's still new how to teach it. So we learning how to teach something that we've never been taught, you know, like there's no basics, there's not proper code and stuff. So we do as we go, and then we're trying to give from our experience and then keep it the more close to the culture as possible. That makes sense. So yeah, basically that's it.
I was 5 when I started dancing. I started being on stage doing Michael Jackson and doing also traditional French Caribbean dance. I started hip hop first with my sister and my brother. Then I joined their class at our conservatoire. So I was around 12. I did hip hop. Then later I started ballet and jazz because I wanted to go to dance classes. I didn't go to dance classes in France.
Dance school.
What did I say?
Dance classes.
Yeah, I didn't go to dance schools in France, but I did in the UK. So in France, what I did is I won a TV competition on Disney Channel. And then I've been a TV presenter for 2.5 years. During that time, I moved to the UK where I did I went back to school. I did a BTEC, is like going back to college to study dance. But I wanted to do more acting, more singing, more basically, more of that. So I went to the Eden Academy, which is a musical theatre school in London. I did this for 3 years, and during that time as well, I went back on Disney Channel to be a lead actor and dancer on one of their series that they were putting on. So after I stopped working for 3 years because of the school, that's where I learned doing tap. I continued ballet, jazz. I did commercial. I did all stuff. After graduating, I did different jobs. I did contemporary. I did hip hop. I did lots of different styles because I like to be as versatile as possible. And so yeah, I've got my A-level in France. I've got here a diploma in musical theatre, and now I'm a professional actor, dancer, choreographer. So that's what I'm doing. So that's my job. And like Joyce-lee said, we never thought of teaching Zouk. I taught hip hop before, stuff like that. The Zouk is not even something we thought about teaching because it was so natural. You see, it's a family dance, and we never saw any Zouk class like ever. So in a way, before putting the class in place, we had to do a lot of research into how we're going to make it happen. Because you're starting from scratch. That took time. But what helped us, I think, is that we were not new to teaching. So we knew how to structure our classes. And even if we didn't have the name, we could kind of explain the idea of the dance and the fundamentals of it.
How would you introduce Caribbean Zouk to folks who attend your classes?
As Zouk in general, obviously, it has started with Kassav. So let's say it's our parent generation. So that's the way they were dancing it obviously has evolved since then. In the class, I like to say that, it's a partner dance, it's an intimate dance, but it's a dance that you can dance with anybody. And then you will obviously adapt the way you dance regarding who you're dancing with. You can dance with your father or your brother, as I'm dancing with a crush or someone you don't know, just enjoying the dance. So then how intimate it will be obviously will depend on that. But
well, if you come with the right mindset, that I think is the most important thing. If you come with the right mindset, it's all about dance. So you can dance with everybody and any kind of music, and it stays respectful, and you respect like the dance and the culture and the music and everything. That's why, yeah, it doesn't matter really. Like I would say, like the music, which is like Beethoven, like that, is if you come to share a good dance moment with everyone, is a moment that you're creating with a full. You're in sync with the person. You're in sync with the music, and you're really like feeling all of this energy. What's really important about Zouk is the feeling, the energy, more than just the step. You don't have as many steps in Zouk that you have in Kizomba, in all those, even like Brazilian Zouk. It's more about the feeling like to the music. Okay, so that's why it's very important to be in sync with each other.
Yeah, basically facing each other, you know, it's like it's a partner dance, but it's not like dance, so like it's like one in front, the other one at the back. This is the facing each other, and then the connection from the body will be more like around the hips.
The hips, yeah.
Knee, it's like, you know, kizomba, and it might be more about the chest, while there it's more about around the hips that you keep this strong connection. And me also can play with the connection. I think, let's say in the Caribbean, you know, there's not a lot of places that they dance Zouk. I think people who will dance Zouk will be the French Caribbean island, like Martinique, Guadeloupe, I think, like Haiti, and then neighbors like Dominica, St. Lucia. In Dominica, St. Lucia will be dancing more the Zouk Beton, I believe, like the Zouk of the 80s. Then, you know, they always have this fast rhythm, so they will keep the dance really flowing, while like Martinique, Guadeloupe, they will have a lot of different types of Zouk.
One way. How would you describe how to dance Zouk for your students? For example, how do you describe the differences between dancing Zouk Love and Zouk Beton?
So depends of which one you're doing. Let's say if you got the Beton version, this one is more bouncy, is more upbeat, is more. But when you do, for example, you dance on Zouk Club and you do un carreau, which is like one square, you're very close to each other. It's not as bouncy. It's done on the spot, okay, and there's a lot of move with the hips. You focus, you're grounded into the floor, and you're trying to relax, sink into each other. Move. I would say the most basic hip movement would be like the 8. For me, it would be the figure of 8 that you do with your hips. Okay, so that'll be like a very basic one when you dance with someone. You do that when you start like dancing, and after we'll see what we're gonna do next. But that's a good way to start.
And honestly, like it will really depend on the rhythm and the type of Zouk. Because how you dance on the kassav, like Zouk la c'est le médicament, and then what you dance on the Zouk Love, completely. I mean, it's not completely different, as the, you know, let's say the feet will be working in the same way, but then, for example, the use of space will be completely different. While with kassav, we can travel from this corner to this corner of the room. You know, we'll be turning a lot, playing a lot with the space. While on Zouk Love, we'll be more focusing on our connection, like body connection with the partner. So it will be more on the spot, or just turning, like, you know, just around. So that will really depends of the reason, to be honest. I don't know if people are using all of this tool, but basically you can play a lot with the style if you actually adapt to the music. There's also Zouk Retro.
Retro is old school, basically.
Yeah, basically retro means old school. When we talk about Zouk retro, we all know about what type of Zouk we refer to. So basically that will be Zouk from the 80s, 80s, 90s. And it's like you can hear that's a different style from the Zouk Love, different style from the Zouk Béton. And in terms of dancing, then I can say that's
in between.
That's the middle.
Is in between. Not to dancing, not
yes.
to it's like,
yes, so it's even the rhythm, it's in between. So it's slower, but then it's also dependent of the song, obviously.
So, yeah.
But then it's really a middle version of both style, and it was something really big also, and people will make the difference between Zouk Retro and Zouk Love.
Joyce-lee mentioned that she learned how to dance Zouk from her parents' generation, but that she might dance it differently when she's out dancing at a party. How does the way Zouk is danced look different across generations?
I mean, you know how parents will always say, like, oh, nowadays, you guys, that's the fact, that's from everything. And I believe maybe we'll say the same thing for the future generation. But even like a few days ago, I was with my mom, and then she was like, me, when I was dancing, then I was doing this and that. So, I mean, I think, first of all, like the posture might be different, although you can still find these today, but the posture of the body, it was a lot more like this, like, the chest was a lot more standing like this. Because even though when you were close with your partner, but then I think they were keeping that distance here, but now people tend to be like, together, one. Also, to be honest, like the Zouk Love evolved around the 90s, 2000. So basically, this is not something they grew up with. So they could not dance on these type of music because it was just not there. They grew up with the kassav, so rhythm was completely different. So obviously, I mean, you still have kassav, like, collé serré. It's like a slow version of it. So yeah, you also have this slow rhythm that they could dance on. But Zouk Love is really something of our generation. So we grew up with Zouk Love. And then, the dance of Zouk Love has developed at this time with us, let's say. Zouk Love, as I was saying, you can't really travel the room on Zouk Love just because the music doesn't allow you to do, you won't be doing big moves because the rhythm is so slow and suave, if that makes sense, that it has to be underground. It has to be, let's say, I don't know how to explain, but you play with your own body and your partner connection instead of playing with the room. So, I mean, I've danced a lot with my mom, and what I was dancing with her, even on the Zouk Love, hand position most of the time will be like this, like the begin position. So one hand here, and then the balancing, let's say, will always be present. But also before, it's just the name that different, but they call it La Fouca. Yeah. So La Fouca, I don't even know how we can say it today. Today, if that is no name for that, let's say La Fouca will be when you have this this closest position when you're basically moving hips, one to the other, if that makes sense. And this was called La Fouca. So not everyone will enjoy do La Fouca like now today. Not everyone will enjoy doing Tarashinya, but it was already there before. And also today, because then they play less and less Zouk Béton.
Yeah, more and more love.
Then naturally, the new generation just tend to dance in one way because they've been exposed to this more.
Tu es mon soleil, éclaire mes jours, mes nuits. Tu es mon soleil, tu es l'âme de ma vie.
Hey, it's me, Mal, one of the hosts of the Mixedtape podcast. I wanted to take just a few seconds to remind you that in the Mixedtape podcast, we aim to center the contribution of Black people and culture across Latin America, the Caribbean, and their diasporas through dance and music. If you're enjoying this episode, be sure to check out our Season 2 episode, Zouk Party, our latest Were You Listening episode, Zouk La Sesa Medica Manuni, and our latest single, Casal 7. Give those a listen. You'll learn more about the roots and incredible development of Zouk. Follow us on Instagram at mixedtape.podcast and click the link tree in our bio to find all our episodes across platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcast. All right, let's get back to Joyce-lee and Stanley.
Je donnerai ma vie, tu sais, pour te suivre. J'aimerais changer le passé. Je veux vivre.
What can you tell us about how Zouk is danced in other places outside of the Caribbean?
We personally discovered that when we started teaching that you had Brazilian Zouk. I didn't know it was a thing. So for me, if Zouk was known internationally, it was all Zouk. So I've discovered that almost like the Zouk we've been growing up with wasn't even the most famous one out there when we were the one inventing the Zouk. So that was weird. I've discovered that many people stay in America, the continent, knew more about the Brazilian version when you got the Caribbean that did this. And this version of Zouk, the original one, is more known, I would say, like in Africa, they dance it a lot. In Europe, as in France, or you have it in Belgium. It's in probably like the French country, not French, but French speaking, French speaking countries, something like that. Here, Zouk was known by some people. I would think that the people that sometimes are from these places, such as we said, Dominica, or that the Caribbean people that they're close to Martinique and Guadeloupe, African people that I listen to it as well, or Frenchies that came here. The way they dance it, most of the time, they don't dance it because they don't have parties. In the UK, they don't dance it. In Africa, they surely do play parties, but for example, in the UK, what we discovered is people know the music, but that's about it because they have never had the opportunity to actually do it. Even we talk to people across Europe, most of the time, they know the music, but they never had a chance to actually really dance it because there is no parties and not like they were playing it in their family event when they dance with each other. What we mainly did, growing up, that's how we've been taught Zouk, and that's how we knew about it. So yeah, I think that's kind of it.
I mean, for me, like Zouk, if people know the Zouk from the French Caribbean, most of the time they know how to dance it. What I'm saying, they know how to dance it. They may not know how to dance it, but they know how it's been danced. Yeah, if that makes sense, you know. Even if I don't understand when he said that maybe they don't dance it because they didn't have the opportunity to do it, but then they will know how it's been danced. It's not that popular, I think. Like, let's say in the Europe, if it's not like old French colony, then, you know,
they don't really know about it.
They won't know about Zouk. Africa, then yes, people from Africa, they know about Zouk, they know how to dance the Zouk. People from Senegal, from Ivory Coast, they've been listening to it. All the people like from old Portuguese colony, like Angola, Mozambique, Cabo Verde, then they will also have an idea, but then that's different because they may mix it with kizomba.
Yeah,
but
I got them too.
That's the tricky part. And Brazilian zouk, then I mean, you may not know how it's been danced than us because
sure. We have not.
Although Kassav did a big job at the time of music, how they expand, how they brought the music all around the world, but the dance, then we did not match this.
That level.
Yeah, we did not bring it all around the world as they did with the music at the time. So it has been lost at some point, and Kassav, the music they expanded also. You didn't need a partner to dance, you just enjoy the concert, and so people might need to be familiarized with the dance itself as we were dancing in the Caribbean.
Yeah. For us, it's hard, like dance-wise, to know who knows about the dance, but what's for sure is the music is known everywhere.
I think it's something that we really kept to ourselves, if that makes sense. It was a cultural thing. The Zouk was like, French Caribbean dance and music. So we didn't think about expanding a lot. And it's a shame.
Yep.
As Zouk gains more and more popularity outside of the Caribbean, how can dancers, students, teachers, performers, and DJs pay homage and center the Black and Caribbean origins and contributions of Zouk?
Okay, to give the real name of the thing all the time, because you have many times people from, let's say, Brazilian Zouk that call their things just Zouk, when it's completely two different things. Zouk, if you just take Zouk, that's the Caribbean version. If you do Brazilian Zouk, that's the one from Brazil. When they try to contract the thing, and in their head is Brazilian Zouk, that's why it confuses people, because it's two completely different things. Like, to know what we are talking about and be very specific with it. So if it's Zouk, to code it by his real name, to not change it. You've got also the issue right now, for example, with many new songs, is that you have Zouk songs, but like in the same way music evolves, you have new instruments you can have now with the machine, you have with the computers, you can have like new tricks and stuff like that. But the base can be the same. It can be Zouk 2.1, okay, 2.0, whatever. But that's just Zouk. But sometimes as Zouk can seem not as trendy for some people, the name Zouk is like, no, they like to create their new style to say that, oh yeah, I've created something. But sometimes you don't need to create something to be unique. You just, if you're great and excellent in one style, that's enough. Michael Jackson did invent pop music, but he brought the pop music over there. So it's the same. You don't need to create a new style to be unique, to prove something. So there is a lot of new music out there that are basically Zouk, but they're called differently. And it's always important to remind people that, okay, those kind of music, those kind of songs, they're Zouk. There's no shame about saying that. Okay, we all love Zouk. That's the proof. Here's the proof that we all love Zouk. And after dance-wise, I think the next step will be to really do the same thing as Kizomba. The good idea would be to structure and to be sure of what is Zouk. Okay, what are the real fundamentals that we can agree on? So when we try to share it with the rest of the world, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think, although I'm not the first person liking social media, but obviously we know that today is a tool. Today it's a big tool, social media. So maybe as a dancer, then we may play a role or trying to, educate people around this with videos, with, tutorials, anything that actually can educate people, just make people know about it, know about the origin, whatever can go around and be spread, to actually help to make people aware of the root of these dance. The DJ then, we also try to talk to the DJs because they play a really big part. Obviously, people who go into the party, we just consume whatever the DJ will be playing. So they're in charge of whatever they will be offering to the people. And now this is the thing, while the Zouk, or at least in some of the French Caribbean party, it's a little battle because you have some organizations that don't want to play Zouk because they think like it's old, or they don't want this style in the Zouk in their party, while other people think like Zouk is really important and it's the major party of French Caribbean parties. And sometimes you will have a whole party with no Zouk. And for us, at least, it's like impossible. How can you play a whole party? You have played no Zouk at all. Why before we used to have like at least 2 or 3 sessions of Zouk in each party. So it's really something that with the DJ, we're trying to say, guys, you need to play it, because more you play it, more people will be aware of it. They will know how to dance it. It's not the fault of the new generation think, oh, you don't know how to dance Zouk. But if they don't have the chance to dance it, then how can they learn how to do it? So DJ has to educate people around the Zouk. The passion they put in all the other side, they need to put it in Zouk, because I'm sure that people will enjoy the same way they're enjoying jumping to death, and the same way they like to come down. For us, Zouk, when I say for us, when I start going now in parties, no matter how gay or how bad boy you wear, then, that Zouk session is important, because that's the time we come together. That's the time people will be like, okay, I'm waiting for that session to go to talk to this person. It's the whole thing about the sessions of, it's not just about the dance. So I think it's really important for DJ to play it. And now we see a lot of more collaboration, that DJ will be working with artists a lot on compa. So it would be nice also if they can work with Zouk artists to put on Zouk songs, and promote it, because it worked well with compa songs. So if they can do the same thing with Zouk, that would be great. And as dancers, I believe, like teachers, there are very few of us, not saying that it's never been thought of. I think there were always small classes here and there, but very, very little amount of it. So maybe if we're trying to expand it a lot more, then that means we actually be teaching to a lot more people, and then that's how it's going to be, spread out. And then, as you were saying, it's always important to talk about the origin. So in our class, we always start with this little introduction, few minutes, just talking about where the Zouk is coming from, the origin of it, what's really important. Even if 2-3 sentences that really, it's small, but it's really important to just, bring it. And then a lot of people, they didn't even know that was from French Caribbean. People, they don't even know about Martinique and Guadeloupe sometimes. They're like, oh, where is that, So it's little thing you educate. Maybe they go back home, then they Google it, and then, little thing make it that people were just giving back. Also, I always mention back Kassav, because they were the ones, bringing this thing out there. So it's important to give them this credit,
I remember when we did the episode about cumbia, which you all should listen to, by the way, that Mel told me that for a long time she thought cumbia was originally a Mexican rhythm, only to find out later that cumbia is originally an Afro-Indigenous rhythm from Colombia, which years after its creation expanded all over the world, including Mexico, the main country that adopted it with open arms. I think a similar confusion happens with Zouk. From my own experience, and I have a sense this might be the experience of most people who dance Zouk outside of the Caribbean, when I took Zouk classes years ago, I thought that Zouk was a Brazilian rhythm, only to find out later that it was created in Guadeloupe and Martinique in the Caribbean. So I'm very thankful for the very important work that Joyce-lee and Stanley do in Europe, teaching and reminding people where Zouk originally comes from, how it's danced, and the feelings it captures.
We are extra grateful for people like Joyce-lee and Stanley for their ability to help us take a step back and ground ourselves in the rich history of these dances.
Thank you so much, Joyce-lee and Stanley, for sharing your knowledge with us and for the work you do educating people about Zouk.
Thanks for listening. This is Mixedtape. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where you can find us at mixedtape.podcast, and also on Twitter and YouTube, which you can find on our website, themixedtapepodcast.com. Make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Do you have any suggestions, questions, or comments? Email us at themixedtapepodcast@gmail.com. Remember that you can also send us audio clips with your reflections for future episodes. This episode was sponsored by the Orange County Arts Commission. Thanks for listening. This is Mixedtape.